will do the pledge.
I was hanging by the Potomac not too long ago, Ron.
As long as you weren't found floating in the Potomac, which could happen.
Yeah, they said you can't swim in the Potomac anymore.
That's not what I said.
Hey, you can see me. You can see me still while I stand. All right, let's start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If they can afford it.
Amen.
Welcome to Club 229. We had a full meeting, and then we didn't have a full meeting, and then we had a full meeting again, and now we might be back to not having a full meeting, depending on how internet connections go. We have 3 speakers lined up, Steve, Hari, and Mark. We'll see if Hari is able to get on. My internet may be having issues too, because I don't look like I'm moving to myself. Okay, that's better. So we hope to have all 3 speakers. At the very least, we'll have 2 speakers. The only club business I have is to remind everyone that we have 2 more weeks in this Toastmasters year. So if you are trying to complete any projects in the pre-pathways system, this would be the time to work on them. The exceptions to that are the high performance leadership project that I know that Meg and Donna are both working on, and also the club coaching, sponsoring, and mentoring requirement, which unfortunately, Katie, it looks like you might have to stick with us for another year on that one, unless we can get about 6 new members in the next 2 weeks. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very unlikely to happen.
Road to DTM did it. We can too.
Well, bring them our way. If you bring them here, I'll even pay for the month of June for them, since they'd be joining near the end of the month. So if you can get people to join, I'll pay for 1 month for them.
Really?
As long as a month is down to what? 1 week?
Yeah, I know, right? Because I don't want, if we do get new members, I don't want them to have to pay for the entire month of June when they haven't been here. But we only get the credit for this year if they do pay for the month of June.
Well, if you'll pay for them, I'll make up names.
Well, no, we want actual people. If you
We
find
don't want
actual
virtual.
people who will come to the club next week and commit to joining, I will pay $6 towards their dues.
So what you're saying is you want 3-dimensional people to sign up virtually.
Yes, and I would like them to
Not
actually
virtual
attend the
people
meeting.
to sign up 3-dimensionally.
I mean, on the other hand, though, if we just keep our lower membership this year, then we don't have as high up to go next year. So it's all game the system however you think is best, I suppose.
You don't want Katie to leave anyway.
Well, good. It was all just a ploy to keep Katie around for another year.
I appreciate that. Hey, Steve, you can always join us virtually until we, meet in person
Right.
again.
Yeah, I was actually going to
Or
ask
even
that.
after.
Are we going to have meetings virtually anywhere? Is Toastmasters thinking about doing that now, or since we have so many high-level people on hand, I thought I might ask.
Right. Mark may know more than I do. My understanding is that they are continuing to allow clubs to meet online like we are. Like there's no really end. There's no time where they're going to cut that off for the all online. I don't know what's going to happen after COVID-19 is considered less of a threat. The current policy, if there were not a pandemic, would be that you need half of your club meeting together in person and the other half can be online. So that was the policy pre-pandemic, that you could have a mixed meeting that was half in person and half online. You could actually also have an all online club, but that wouldn't be associated with any district. That's just kind of a club floating out there in the ether for anyone to join. So those are the policies pre-pandemic. The policy
that would
during
be
the
if you belong
pandemic
to
that any club can meet entirely online. I do not know
So
if the
that's for
policy would
Club
be
Coosbane
post-pandemic.
for Club Coosbane, and we had Tristram and the people from Hitchhiker's Guide. They would be on those particular clubs, right?
Yes, exactly.
That'd be so, Eamon, that might be something to look into for the PR there.
Sorry, I kind of missed that. What am I looking into for PR?
Possibility of a Red Dwarf Club. Possibilities of sci-fi clubs of various types. Meeting in the nether regions of, not in a particular district, but just interplanetarily, if you know what I mean.
So like dual meeting with a club in Minneapolis or something?
Well, that could happen too. That's also another possibility.
So Steve, I have 4 new members that you can write down for, I have John Barron, John Miller, Carolyn Gallego, and David Dennison.
Eamon, this is my last meeting.
Sorry.
Unless you go virtual for me to join when I'm in Washington, D.C.
I mean, we'll stay
I'm
virtual.
saying these are 4 new members that we can add to the club.
Right now?
Yeah.
We'll talk to Jessica. Hey, don't add any more or you're going to lose Katie.
So these are all fake names that Donald Trump has used as his quote press secretary.
Oh,
You're
Along
too
with the name Donald Trump, yes.
all right.
Fake name.
Well, the actual takeaway here, we will continue to meet online. We can continue to meet online. Steve can join us from DC. I don't know exactly what the future will hold, but having at least partial online meetings, having at least some of the members meeting online is always an option. That is something that Toastmasters always lets us do. So for example, if Steve just decided to up and move to DC permanently, he could still be a member of our club. We could still allow for him to join remotely. That's something we would be allowed to do.
I don't move anywhere permanently, but how would you handle, I mean, would you have a camera in the meeting at the church? Or?
That's what we would have to do. And that's where it gets tricky for our club because I'm not sure how good the internet is in that building in the basement there.
Anyway, that's enough time on this, I guess.
Yeah, we can think about it, but there's no hindrance from Toastmasters to that. Toastmasters absolutely allows you to have people join your club remotely. That is something they absolutely allow, even when it's not a pandemic. We would just have to figure out how to make that work. All right.
Cell phones, that's what cell phones are for. Instead of trying to
Omaha, so we're trying to
use
keep
the
it in.
Wi-Fi, use a cell phone.
That's true.
Make sure you have a fairly big data account.
Yes, well, I have one from work, so I have
But yeah, we will.
somewhat unlimited.
I'm not an officer, but I will say we will continue meeting virtually until we have a physical place to meet.
It might not be too far away.
Some places are smarter than others.
Well, I go by the church and they have, on Wednesday nights, there's cars all around it.
That doesn't mean they've got the building open like they did before.
No, I know, I'm just saying.
And it also depends on how much a rush people are into doing that.
Well, and the vibe I got from all of you last week is that we're not really in a rush. We would like to meet in person, of course, but health is a higher priority.
Saves on gas.
All right, I think we have taken up more than our allocated time for opening remarks and club business. I will serve as the chat room monitor today. I do not see any guests, so we are good there. And I will turn things over to our Toastmaster for today, Robin.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Welcome to another wonderful Toastmasters online meeting. Can't wait to see all you guys in person at some point in the mythical future.
No.
At any rate, let's go ahead and get our meeting started. I'm trying to remember what comes first because I don't have the agenda in front of me. Do I introduce the general evaluator? I'm trying to remember.
We have the joke master and word of the day first, and then the general evaluator.
Okay, well, let's call up the joke master, whoever that may be.
You come back to me.
Yeah, that's you, Eamon. I had you down as joke master.
Yeah, can you do the word first?
I think that's Meg. Meg has the word. A word. Meg is muted. I think I remuted Meg when she was unmuting herself.
Okay. So I'll do some blonde jokes. So a blonde says to a brunette, "What does IDK stand for?"
I don't know.
Says, "I don't know." The blonde says, "Oh my God, nobody does." So why can't a blonde dial 911?
She can't find the 11 on the phone.
Yep.
What was the answer?
She can't find the 11 on the phone.
Why'd you say she? He never gave her.
Are any of us blonde? Ron, are you blonde? No?
Meg just coughed.
Meg's blonde? I thought your hair was darker than that, Meg. I need to see people more often. I forget what color their hair is. So Meg is the only one you're insulting. Good job, Eamon.
All right. Last one.
It is really interesting because in Ireland, I'm sorry, in England, there are all kinds of jokes about gingers. And ginger is a nice way of saying an Irish person, even when they don't have red hair.
Oh, right.
So we could get it. Yep.
So
yep.
I've got one more. There was a blonde and a brunette. They were all trapped on an island, and the nearest shore was 50 miles away. The brunette swam, trying to make it to the other shore. She swam 15 miles, drowned, and died. The brunette swam 24 miles, drowned, and died. The blonde swam 25 miles, got tired, and swam back.
Oh.
Apparently was a little bit of a...
Yeah, I'm too dumb for that one.
Yeah. Okay, that one flew over everybody's head. All right, that's all I got.
Over everybody's head? I think you had the direction wrong.
Under everybody's head. Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you, Eamon. Master now.
Okay, the word of the day is conflate. Originally, it meant to fuse together. And it has also been used as a coined phrase for a type of torture that was popular in the 1700s.
Sorry, everybody. I've got.
Sorry?
I think Robin might be frozen.
Yeah. You want me to continue?
All Batman.
Conflate her with some kind of a laser freeze beam or something. That would be.
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, we might have lost Robin.
How do you spell that, Meg?
Conflate, C-O-N-F-L-A-T-E. And basically it means to put two ideas that are divergent or very dissimilar together. You will often hear that word when people are talking about a news story with somebody else's opinion, and they're both put forward as if they're both facts. A more common phrase would be, they say that regular person eats to live, a gourmet lives to eat. But today is National Fried Onion Ring Day and National Chocolate Eclair Day.
Ooh.
But you would definitely be conflating yourself with a gourmet if you ate both at the same time. You would be a grammon. So
What's
if,
century torture?
yeah, 17th century torture. It had to do with flailing the skin off, you know, so the sinews were all exposed. It was not fun. But to conflate currently means that when somebody takes one of those 10 truths or opinions or downright lies and mixes it with actual facts. And that would be conflating the situation. Or if you heard part of a story from one person and part of a story from another person, you put them two together and you came out with a totally different perspective, you've conflated things. Does that make sense now? Or do I have you totally confused? Because
Thank you,
confused
Meg.
and conflated are similar, but they're not the same.
I think I will conflate my role as president with the role of Toastmaster going forward, at least until Robin is able to get back on, if she is able to get
Very
back on.
good. Excellent. Excellent. You have not conflated the situation at all.
Perfect, thank you. I hope that Eamon is marking these down as grammarian. The next item on the agenda is, oh good, she's back. General evaluator. I have down that Ron is the general evaluator. Ron, would you be able to introduce your team?
Yes, I will be looking for volunteers to be grammarian and not counter. Meanwhile, I will ask Katie to explain her role as timer.
I will be keeping us on track today by timing our speakers, our table topic speakers, and our evaluators. Both speeches today are 5 to 7 minutes, so you will receive a green light via my phone. I will hold it up at 5, a yellow at 6, and a red at 7. For our table topic speakers, you have 1 to 2 minutes, so green at 1, yellow at 1.5, and red at 2. And then our evaluators, keep it concise and don't conflate the issues of our speakers with 2 to 3 minutes, green at 2, 2.5, yellow, and red at 3 minutes. Back to you, Toastmaster.
And Ron, Eamon had volunteered for grammarian and awe counter. I can do awe counter if you like. The speaker I was to evaluate is not currently here, so I can do at least part of that. I can do awe counter.
And would you explain your role to us?
I will be keeping track of filler words starting from this moment that I decided to be awe counter. Words such as so, like, you know, any words that do not add value or meaning to our speech.
Okay. And Eamon, would you like to explain your role as grammarian?
So I'll be looking for things like subject verb disagreement, mispronounced words, dropped endings. In addition to the crutch words Jessica will be looking for, I'll be also looking for positive or picturesque or vivid language and give people credit for that.
That would be Scrum True Lesson.
Indeed.
I also will be looking for evaluators. I don't know how many speakers we have. Who is, let's see. Looks like I have Mark and Jessica.
For evaluators, we had Steve speaking with Mark evaluating. Hari, it's not looking like she's going to be getting on. And then we had Mark speaking with Meg evaluating.
Right.
I suppose we could switch the evaluators around, but the way it was assigned was Mark would evaluate Steve's speech and Meg would evaluate Mark's speech. And if Hari is able to get on, I'll evaluate her speech.
Okay.
Got it. In that case, I have only to ask if our evaluators have any particular assignments to watch for particular elements of the speaker's speech.
Meg is raising her hand.
Yes, my speaker, Mark, is going to give us one of those passionate, persuasive speeches. He is going to use logic and emotion in order to make us come around to his point of view. Because to persuade is to have someone insist on doing it your way. And he is going to do that.
Lost Meg.
What? Oh, you lost me? Okay.
Oh, we can hear you.
I can still hear you,
Oh,
Meg. Mark is the one I
All
just
right,
lost.
so basically, I'm going to be looking for perhaps flowery language, but he's going to be trying to draw us from our interest group, our emotional aspects, into his concept of the world as it should be. And with such a new Weltanschauung, we must succeed. Thank you.
Good. Ask questions.
Do you have any last words?
Oh, I love it.
Mark is frozen by the conflation ray also. He must have lost his connection. In that case, I will return control to Robin if she has been able to return.
I can tell you what mine is and give the ballot reason for ballot counting if you wish.
Go ahead.
Oh, my speech is about, it is the storytelling speech. I'm redoing my last speech on why I went to DC, and I'm counting ballots to prove Pavlov's conflicted theory on positive and negative reinforcement. We have a winner who will be positively reinforced, and a loser will be negatively reinforced. Sounds very conflated to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I will now return control to Robin.
You're muted, Robin.
I'm trying to work from one of Val's computers because she's working from my computer out in the living room, and I have to be in my bedroom, and I have tons of pillows in here, and apparently that screws around with the Wi-Fi network. So that's why I've been dropping out constantly. Too many pillows in my room. So now I'm back with everyone again. And is it now time to go to the first speaker?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's call on our first speaker of the evening.
Okay, that'll be me. Did you say too many? You say too many pillows in your room? Really? I got lots of pillows. I didn't know that interfered.
Yeah, that's what Val says.
All right. My fellow Toastmasters and guests, which there are none of. Those of you who know me understand that I feel most alive when I don't have dust collecting underneath my soles. Thus, for the last 35 years of my wanderlust, I have prayed to Jesus to guide me to where I can best do his will. So I felt a strong calling to go to Washington, D.C. during a pandemic. I could hardly say no. But why? I landed in D.C. on May 7th. It was surreal being in such an internationally bustling city during a stay-at-home order. I went to the National Mall to get my exercise and was so completely saturated with patriotism at having these grandiose monuments to myself that I started singing loudly. God bless America. Oh, say, can you see? As I was singing, I came face to deathly agonizing face of a Civil War soldier forever captured in bronze, and my exuberance turned to sorrow. How many people have died for us to continue this great experiment in self-governing and freedoms? I made my way down the mall, passing the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial, and ended on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, where Martin Luther King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech. Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy and his brother, all great leaders and our best speakers, murdered. And the millions of soldiers that died gave their lives for us. Was it our turn to fight for these freedoms? Is that why I came? Walking in front of the White House, I came upon Filippo running his 39 continuous years protest/peace vigil hut. I asked him if he would mind if I came and sat with the sign for the next 10 days to promote peace and love. Filippo said, "It's a free country, sometimes." On the way home, I met Daniel, a brilliant man who lived in the park and was reading constantly. We talked for 3 hours on constitutional law, physics, theology, and our only discord was he was an atheist, and I told him why I was there. Therefore, I asked him what it would take for him to have the slightest inclination that there might be more, something beyond what he just sees. He said 147,000 protesters. He wanted to change part of the Constitution back to the hands of the people where it belonged. So for 10 days, I sat in front of the White House, fostering peace and love, and silently praying to myself.
We got 147,000 protesters.
Every night, Daniel would question me on the way home. "Well, what happened today, Steve? What happened today?" I'd say, "Keep the faith." And on the last day when I was leaving, I passed Daniel, and he said, "I guess you're wrong, Steve. There is no God." And I said, "Well, I still have 10 hours left, Daniel. And I love you, and I equate God with love, so maybe that's something." And he said, "I don't think so." 4 days after that, the protest started. And right where I was sitting in front of the White House is where it started in DC, and where our president used our soldiers against our own people with tear gas and rubber bullets. So what's the moral? Keep your hearts and your minds open to all the possibilities. Let's build on the past and not relive it. And of course, Madam Toastmasters?
Thank you, Steve. That was a really inspiring speech. For anybody who would like to make a comment to Steve regarding his speech, you can open up the chat and you can send him a message about what you thought about the speech. Again, thank you very much, Steve. It was very heartfelt. So let us move on to speaker number 2.
I think it's Hari, and I don't know if we have her.
Yeah, we should skip to speaker number 3 for the time being, who is Mark.
Okay. All right, we'll bump up to speaker number 3. Mark, regale us with your emotions.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Obviously, you didn't get the introduction. That's my fault. Earlier in the meeting, we were talking about the fact that Club 229 needs a few members to become distinguished. I've noted a couple of times that we have really done well on educational awards. We're averaging almost 1 per member at the current time. But if we want to get that distinguished rating, we need to have a few more members. So the question I want to pose to you is perhaps 2 parts. Why would anybody want to join Club 229? And how do people see Club 229? When you're looking for a club or an organization, one of the really important things to remember is that you are and always will be a product of your self-defined environment. I've also heard this stated, if you want to soar with eagles, quit hanging out with a flock of chickens. Every Toastmasters club has a mission. It's on our agenda. I would invite you to join me with it, although please mute so we don't get too confused here. We provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Of course, that's the mission of every Toastmasters club, all 15,000 of them in the world. All 65 of them or so in District 24. What makes our Club 229 different? Do we have a vision of what our club should be or an image of what our club is? Just to expand on this a little bit, an organization's mission defines what they do. Their vision describes how they want to be seen. Their image describes how others actually see them. So how do we want to be seen? How do people see us? That's a real question here. If we want to get more members, we need to give them a reason to come to 229. Sure, it's convenient. It's online just like everybody else. But why 229? Now, I can't really say why 229. I joined 229 because I was a club coach back before Katie was. But I can give you some insight by talking about some of the clubs I have joined in the past and why I joined those clubs. My first secondary club was Road to DTM. I joined that back in 2013. The reason I did so was because I needed more opportunities to speak. I was trying to finish my DTM before this new education program came in that nobody knew much about, except that it was supposed to launch back in 2013 or 2014. Road to DTM gave me two things. It gave me speaking opportunities, and it let me rub shoulders with some eagles in Toastmasters. DTMs, you want to learn from the best, you want to be the best, hang out with the best. A couple years later, I did get my DTM in August of 2014. And at that point, the question in my mind was, okay, I've got the DTM, now what? For a few of us that are just recently completing those DTMs, that is a question you could ask yourself. I've got the DTM, now what? For me, the now what was to help other people with their educational progress. So I joined a club called Dynamic Speakers in April of 2015. That's a club whose mission is to help people become professional level speakers. Now, quite honestly, I don't care if I'm a professional level speaker, but I could see a place where I could help others to become better speakers. I could use my experience, some of my knowledge outside of just getting up in front of a group and talking to help them become better. The third club that I joined, actually it would be the fourth one that I joined because 229 came in here before that, was Strictly Speaking. Strictly Speaking is an advanced club in Lincoln, and their image, their vision of themselves is to help people with leadership. Road to DTM, help people with becoming DTMs. Dynamic Speakers, help people become better speakers. Strictly Speaking, help people become better leaders. And at the time, I had just been elected to the trio, and I saw this was a place where I could hang out with some really good leaders and become a better leader. What attracted me to all of these three clubs was that my perception of their vision and my perception of the image. Those three clubs had a clear vision beyond the mission statement of what they wanted to do, what they could do for me, and they acted in a way that I got that as the image. That is how I saw the clubs. That's why I used to drive to La Vista twice a month for advanced club meetings, rather than driving down the road and joining another local club in Bellevue. So my challenge to you, my fellow Niners, if we are going to become distinguished again and help Katie get her DTM, and probably Prem as well, how do we see ourselves? Are we just the oldest club in the district? Or are we a new dynamic club that does things? And how do we project? How do we make other people see us? Now, hats off to Steve. He has helped with that a lot last year with Dundee Days. He got people to see us differently. But think about that for the future, folks. You know why you joined 229. How do you think we should project ourselves? What should be our mission? What should be our image? If we put together a good mission, a good image, and a good vision, we will become distinguished. I am convinced of that. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mark.
For anyone who would like to send a message to Mark about what they think about his speech, you can do so in chat. In the meantime, we can move on to our next section, which is table topics. And who is our table topics master today?
I believe it's Eamon. I had it down as Eamon.
Cool. Eamon, would you like to regale us with some table topics?
I will. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Today, we're going to go on a journey. In honor of Steve's final day, we are going to drive in a van down by the river all the way to Washington, D.C. And Steve is going to, how many table topics do I have time for?
I would think at least 3.
Okay,
Would agree.
we're gonna say that he's gonna be accompanied by Meg, Donna, Ron, and Jessica. So our journey is going to start in Omaha, where Steve is trying to convince Donna to go with him to Washington, D.C. And Donna, how do you answer Steve's call?
Mr. Table Topics Master.
Oh, Meg, you muted her.
Because he didn't give me enough forewarning. I have to have forewarning before I go anywhere because I have to accommodate my critters. It's quite an imposition to ask somebody to take care of my critters and mow my lawn,
Oh, that one.
etc. For 4 months, I think I would have to tell him, no, I can't go, or I could only go for 4 weeks instead of 4 months. What could be accomplished in 4 weeks, I don't know, because he's not giving me any agenda. So I'd have to say 4 weeks or not at all.
All right, 4 weeks it is.
All right, thank you, Donna. Next in our journey, the group decides to kidnap Donna and take them with her.
Who's gonna kidnap me?
The group.
Whose group?
Ron. Ron's gonna kidnap you, Donna.
Oh,
He's got his pirate horde. His cohorts are going to, you're going to be shanghaied.
Meg decides to change the plan to rent a megabus to take them to South Bend, and when they will pick up a van by the St. Joe's River to drive them all the way to D.C. Unfortunately,
I'm going to Indiana for you. Oh my God. Oh my God, Indiana? I don't think so.
it's
The
on the way
Mississippi
to,
of the North? No,
it's on the way to D.C. We're driving, remember?
there are other routes.
And the megabus breaks down in Gary, Indiana. So,
Of course it does. It has to.
Meg, what happens in Gary, Indiana after you break down?
Well, fortunately, the car breaks down in a black neighborhood, which means there are a bunch of people, as soon as we say the word Bernie, are more than willing to help us. Because you always want to break down in a poor neighborhood, because those are the people who, first of all, have jumper cables, and second of all, know how to fix cars. So about 5 of those guys come up and they look at me and they say, "Are you lost?" And we explain that we're on a mission from God to go to Washington, D.C. And now the bus has even more people. And they brought a big bag lunch with them. And we are going to stop in Peru, Indiana for the night. And we're staying at a hotel that used to be the home of Cole Porter. So we're singing musicals all night. Next.
Okay, thank you, Meg.
My dreams come true.
So our growing party has traversed through the
Wilds of Indiana.
Indiana and made their way to Ohio. You have stopped to get gas in Cleveland, Ohio, and Ron has decided that he needs to take a pit stop to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So, Ron, how's your journey go?
Columbia River goes along the bottom of Ohio.
Yeah.
It goes along the bottom of Ohio.
Right.
So you can go.
I'm just saying you're going north instead of south. So you're going in the wrong direction.
Oh, you're going north.
You're trying to talk, Ron. I cannot hear you through the cat.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm waiting for silence.
You're going south if you're going to DC.
I'm going to be going south.
Can someone mute Meg?
Can you hear?
Hey, Meg, can you mute yourself? Working.
Sorry.
Go for it, Ron.
I would like to go to the Hard Rock Cafe instead of Washington, D.C. and join the rock group, the Stray Cats, because I've been inspired by Donna to prefer the company of pets over humans. I no longer have any use for humans. All I care about is cats and cat toys and rock and roll, of course, and being up all night long, drinking whatever booze cats drink. Probably White Russians, because the half and half would make those delicious. Colorado Bulldog or a Caucasian would be nice. Or maybe just some Jack Daniels poured into some Pepto-Bismol, because I am a hard rocker now. But it's all about the journey and the cornflakes to work in the word of the day, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ronald. So you keep going on your journey, and somewhere past Pittsburgh, in the middle of nowhere, your van breaks down. And everybody's going a little crazy. Donna's deciding to walk home. Jessica, please tell us what happens at this point.
So Donna decided to walk home from around Pittsburgh back to Omaha. That's very brave of Donna. Unfortunately, she set out in the middle of the night while we were all sleeping, and so we did not realize that she was gone until morning. Naturally, we were all very concerned about her, because despite all of the teasing, we love Donna very much. We want her to be safe. So we set out to try to find her. We drove back the way that we came, and we could not find Donna anywhere. We kept driving and driving until we were far beyond where we thought that she would have been able to walk in one night. And then we heard just a faint meow, and then a woof woof, and then more meowing and barking and birds singing. So we pulled over to the side of the road, and we went off into the woods, and there was Donna surrounded by all of these animals, rabbits and squirrels and chipmunks and cats and dogs and birds, just dancing all around her, happy and playing and barking and meowing and having a grand time. Had no idea where these animals came from, but fortunately we had taken over the megabus for our own at this point, and so we loaded up all of the animals, took them back to Omaha, and now Donna has even more critters to take care of in her home. I don't think she likes this, but I can't hear her because she's muted. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Jessica. So we'll say, now the end of our journey, you finally get to Washington, D.C. as a group. And Steve, what happens at the end of your remarkable journey across the heartland of America to the nation's capital?
Well, this is a true story. Once I get to DC, the movement starts again around the reflecting pool, where there have been so many other revolutions before. The Martin Luther King speech and the Vietnam War, but Ringo Starr is going to meet me there on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and we're going to start singing the songs again. The songs about peace and love, and they're going to get the beads out, and the flower children are coming. And then the young kids are going to see it and remember how it used to be. And the older people that were there before, they're going to bring their beads and their guitars. And we're going to sing all the songs and the new songs. And we're going to write the laws how they're supposed to be. And we're not going to build mass instruments of destruction anymore. But we're going to build instruments of peace and love. And it's going to go around the world like the protests have already. And we're all going to live happily ever after. Amen.
Very nice. I don't know why, Steve, when you were talking, I was getting images of Field of Dreams in my head. If you build it, they will come. All right. Great job, everybody. So, but please vote for your favorite part of this remarkable journey. Your choices are Donna's reluctance to leave, Meg's party in Gary, Indiana, Ron's journey with your cat, Jessica's story of Donna finding herself in the wilderness, and Steve's fantastic ending. So please send your votes to, who's our ballot counter?
I am.
Steve's the ballot
Please send
counter.
your votes to Steve. And now return control to the Toastmaster.
Thank you. And also send your votes for the two speeches we had, Steve's and Mark's. Send those also to Steve. And we will head into the evaluations portion of the meeting. Eamon, were you evaluating Steve's speech? I can't remember.
No, I was not an evaluator.
It's Mark.
You can turn it over to Ron, though. Ron's the general evaluator.
Okay, Ron, Mr. General Evaluator, may I call you up to lead the evaluations team?
That'd be groovy.
Woo!
I have two evaluators. The first one being Mark Fagan, who will now evaluate Steve Everett's speech about his trip to Washington, D.C. Take it away, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Before I start with evaluation of Steve's speech, I have to apologize a little bit. Actually, my land should apologize for me instead of me doing it. Just about the time Steve started talking, my son barged in and said that the Wi-Fi is down. And that meant my network was down, and that told me why everybody had frozen on my screen except me. So Steve, unfortunately, I missed at least part of the beginning of your speech. However, I really liked a couple of things immediately from when I did get back on, even as I was hearing it through my phone, through Jesse's phone. You gave us some shared experiences of your last trip to Washington, D.C. That was really nice. I don't know how many of our club members have been to Washington? I have, although it's been a few years ago and was in a little bit colder time of year. But it is really impressive, and it's something that not everybody gets to do. So I appreciate you sharing with us some of the sites and some of your experiences there. I also like the way you organize things. Basically, the organization you used was linear through time. You told us about things you experienced as you experienced them going through. You brought in a couple of, I hesitate to say characters, but in a sense they were, that you met and interacted with. Just walking up to a stranger in a big city like Washington and interacting with them is an amazing accomplishment for you, I think. Many of us, particularly if somebody who looks a little homeless, would rather just walk by and kind of forget that we saw them. So thank you very much, Steve, for sharing your experiences. As far as what I would suggest you doing next time, number one, and this goes for everybody, we need to get, I was no difference tonight, even though I was a late volunteer, we need to get introductions to the Toastmaster. We need to get evaluation forms to an evaluator. I've got a generic one that I'm using right now, which I'll save off as a PDF and send you, but that's something as a club I think we need to do better on. I don't know what the title of your speech was. I think it was probably given right at the beginning, but as I say, I wasn't there at the beginning. But that would be basically, yeah, that's what I would like, what you should do next time. What I'd like to see you doing going forward, you're going off to DC for a month, 4 months, 6 months, till hell freezes over. Bring back some of those stories and share them as you work through your paths, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mark. And now evaluating Mark, I have Meg Barr.
All right.
Meg is unmuted.
Know what? Huh? What did you say?
Now unmuted.
All right. Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Mark. Now, Mark did a motivational speech about one of Toastmasters' favorite subjects: more members, more members, more members. Always be clubbing. Anyway. And he did it from the perspective of the fact that every brand has its own little sub-brands. For instance, all Christian churches like Jesus. But every church, every Episcopalian church is not the same. Every Methodist church is not the same. And Lord knows every Catholic church is not the same. Therefore, every Toastmasters is also different, and we have to find our distinct image. So he said, why 229? And then he said he doesn't know why 229, but he did know why he belonged to other clubs. So he talked about the special characteristics of particular clubs. Road to DTM is a mentoring club to help you get your awards. Dynamic Speakers is one to give you a professional edge in public speaking and to give you a sense of leadership. Strictly Speaking is definitely about making you a more polished, professional, and hopefully employable speaker. His next question was about how others see your club. It would have been nice if he detailed exactly how you find out how others see your club, Because as you know, what people say directly to you is often not what they actually say. The last part was a call to action about how we should identify ourselves and about how we should find our special niche. I thought we had a special niche. I thought we were the club where you could be safe to be silly. The club where you could pretty much, if you wanted a holiday, we would celebrate it. A club where chocolate was mandatory. And a club that is open to new ideas and new people. I think that his speech was very clear, it was very organized, it was extremely logical. One of the things they asked is passion. I heard interest, I heard dedication. I would like to hear more passion in his next speech. But all in all, it was a good speech. It brought up a lot of points about how to identify ourselves and how to use that in gaining members. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. We also are inclusive to blonde members. I would like now to call on Eamon Maloney for his grammarian report and to tell us how many of us use the word cornflakes. Eamon?
Well, thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I must admit I wasn't the best at looking for the word of the day. I did catch Meg using it. I did catch Ron using it. If anybody else used it and I missed you, Steve and Katie. All right. So you've used the word of the day and you get your virtual candy. As far as the rest of my report, Steve, I thought throughout your speech you had very vivid, picturesque language. Two examples I really liked were talking about the soles underneath your feet, kind of incorporating both soul as in literal soul and soul as in the figure, the metaphysical soul. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed your description of the statue of the Union soldier. I can't remember the words you used, but I thought it was very emotional and very picturesque as well. Otherwise, overall, there were a lot of other good examples of good positive word use that you had. Mark, I didn't catch anything from you as far as subject for disagreement or anything. That's my report on your speech. Everybody else otherwise didn't catch anything, and that's my report.
Thank you, Eamon.
We get a vote for evaluator. Anybody who has it?
I think Steve is asking for more ballots to be turned in. And our grammarian report, our counter report will now be delivered by Jessica.
Thank you, Ron. I wish I knew who that character is. Is it like Richie Rich as a ghost, aka Casper? I'm not sure.
It's Pugsley from the Addams Family.
Oh, I never watched the Addams Family. I missed out. For the counter report, the one person for whom I heard no filler words was Donna. Either I wasn't listening closely enough or Donna had a clean record today. I only noticed one each for Robin and Steve, which if that was accurate, that's very impressive, Steve, given that you were the whole 5 to 7 minute speech. Very well done. And everyone else had at least a couple of filler words. Ahs and ums were the most prevalent overall. I also counted anyway and pretty much as filler words for Meg. She only used them once each, but I noted them because they're not typical filler words, but they were used as filler words. That is it for my report.
Thank you, Jessica. And now I will call on our timers report from Katie.
Thank you, Ron. Our speakers today came in. Steve, you came in at 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Mark, 8 minutes, 32 seconds. Our table topic speakers today, Donna, 58 seconds. Meg, 1 minute on the news. Jessica, 1 minute, 39 seconds. Steve, 1 minute, 23 seconds. And our evaluators, plenty to say today with 3 minutes, 32 seconds, Mark, and 3 minutes, 15 seconds for Meg. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Yes, could you repeat the times for Mark's evaluation and also my table topic speech?
And my speech, please.
So Mark's evaluation of Steve's speech was 3 minutes and 32 seconds. And Steve, your speech was 5 minutes, 45 seconds. And Ron, what was it? Did you need all the times?
Oh, my table topic then.
Oh, I missed it. It was 1 minute, 23 seconds. So Steve, yours, oh, it was exactly 1 minute, 23 seconds as well. For your table topic speech.
Thank you, Katie. General comments on the meeting. I thought that the meeting was indeed stranger than fiction. We enjoyed taking off with all of the suggestions we received from each other throughout the meeting. The table topics questions were a good example of this. I don't know if it was teamwork or stealing from each other. I think I just scared a child with my Uncle Fester mask. And we're running on time. We're due to close out early. So I believe it is time to turn the control back over to Robin.
Thank you, Ron, General Evaluator. Great job. Oh, the masks you wear. In any case, so has everybody submitted their votes for best speaker, best table topics, best evaluator? If not, get them into Steve so that he can count everything up.
That was good. That was a good one, Mark.
Steve, do you know if you're still waiting for votes from anyone?
I think that everybody's in.
Cool. Let us know when you have a count.
I have it. You ready for it?
Shall we start counting our computers?
Ron says that's just for the best speaker.
Oh.
So, table topics tonight. We have as our winner Jessica. Evaluator is Meg. And for the best speaker, it's a tie. 4-4.
Everybody wins.
That's what Pavlov said. That's what Pavlov said.
Thank you so very much, Steve. And now I turn the meeting back over to our president, Jessica.
Thank you, Robin. We have a thought of the day from Donna, I believe. Donna, get Meg to unmute you so you can share your thought.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh, not anymore.
No.
Muted again. Try again.
A good example always trumps advice.
Very, very true. A good example always
Amen.
prompts advice. I feel like there's something I could do with the fact that there's the word Trump in there somehow. I don't know. I'll have to think on that.
That's good advice.
Something that Trump doesn't take? Is that maybe the connection? I don't know.
Well, he always trumps up Trumpery.
There you go. Perfect. You have to find the humor in some of these things, or else you'll just be really sad all the time. I do not believe I have any other closing remarks. Kari was able to join us during the evaluation. She's here audio only. You saw a number pop up that you don't recognize. I don't know if she's able to speak to us, but Hari, we're happy that you were able to at least sort of join us today.
Hi, Hari.
She'll be giving her
Hi.
speech in a few weeks. She will not be here next week, but I have Hari down to speak on July 6th.
I'd like to say a few things if I can.
Sure, go ahead.
I mean, if you let me, I can say them, but
Yeah, we have
as long as
time.
you don't mute me out. First of all, to Mark, what he was saying in his speech, it's, I know I said this before, you heard me say it before, but it's just such a wonderful time for people to have Toastmasters in their life. The younger people on their phones, and we need to learn how to speak to each other better. And with the coronavirus especially, I think it's a great opportunity for people to join and to learn about how important it is to communicate. That's where most of our problems in the whole world come from, actually. And we do have the tents and the microphones and the coolers, and I mean, it's a great way to use them. We'd be using them right now if it wasn't for the virus. There's so many festivals out there, and it's so much fun to do now. Just, you know, they have the park, they have the festivals in Elmwood Park, and when they have them in another 2 or 3 weeks or a month, take those out there and put up the microphone and have kids sing songs and stuff and talk to you and tell jokes. You'll just have a blast. I'm going to miss not being here for that, actually. And I'm going to miss all you guys, too. I hope I can get together with the link, because I've learned so much, and I have so much more to learn. But, again, I don't think I'm here by accident by any means. And thank you all very much. And I also wanted to say that, Meg, I agreed with you what you said about our 229, our group here, is our club is it's known for being fun and trying new things and utilizing everything you have. I like it because of all the experience in this club. There's so much experience in this club, and like you said when you first started out, Mark, I joined it because there's so much. I stayed with it because there's so much experience here that I can learn from. So many good people with lots of years that teach me so much. That's another thing that I would reason why I stayed with it and liked it so much. That and the food. The food's really good here too. That's what I gotta say. Thank you all very much.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. I think I can say this on behalf of everyone. I hope that you have a successful trip in DC, whatever success may look like. I'm sure you won't know exactly what that looks like until you see it, but I wish you blessings and success there.
Hmm?
And I do hope that you will be able to join us a few times at least.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, I forgot to say what the job you did on the thing we watch website was fantastic. And people, tell your friends to go on the website and see what it's like. Right now, you can go on and see all the different meetings. So, you know, they don't have to come or don't do anything. Just watch it by themselves. It's a really good selling point, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And some of the videos, not all of them are public, but if you want to share the links with anyone, you can. If they have the link, they can view it. There are a couple of them that anyone can just stumble upon and happen to find. I might make more of them public. I don't see really any reason not to. But feel free to share the links with people that might be interested in watching.
I think that Star Wars meeting was a really good meeting to share.
Yes, that was the first one we recorded. It was excellent. And that one is public. Anyone who happens to be searching YouTube might accidentally find it. With that, I think I will stop the recording.